So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the members of the Pasteur Network community. Welcome to this new edition of the Pasteur Network monthly seminar. I am Hichem, your host and the coordinator of these sessions. As usual, we'll begin with our speakers' presentation, followed by a Q&A session. You are welcome to drop your question in the chat at any time and ask them directly during the Q&A. Just a quick reminder, please keep your microphone and camera off during the talk to help everything run smoothly. The session is recorded and will be soon available on the Pasteur Network's YouTube channel, so you can rewatch it or share it with your colleagues. Today, I'm really happy to take you to the Institut Pasteur de Dakar for a seminar entitled Blueprints for Resilience: How Care Transforms Outbreaks into Opportunities for Africa. And for that, we have the pleasure to welcome our two speakers, Xavier Berthet and Aisha Fatmanjai. Xavier Berthet is passionate about creating value at the intersection of life science and mathematics. He currently leads scientific and biomedical research at the Institut Pasteur de Dakar. After earning an engineering degree in biotechnology, a PhD, and completing a postdoctoral fellowship in molecular biology, he spent 10 years in the pharmaceutical industry in research, technology transfer, and business development. He then broadened his professional experience by returning to a university, doing a master in business, mobile applications, and a master in digital composition. A journey that led him to create 3 startups in mobile business, dating, and agriculture, and a consultancy agency. His current commitment is to turn science into success stories in Africa for Africans. Aisha Fatmanjai is the head of care at the Institut Pasteur de Dakar, with over 10 years of extensive experience in various capacities as a global health specialist, biomedical scientist, strategy consultant, and health venture builder. She has deep expertise in disease control and response, global health and health system strength, and the design and launch of innovative health ventures for emerging markets. Prior to her time at IPD, she served multiple WHO stations like in Nigeria or in Gambia in different capacities, from technical support to surveillance national program officer. This experience allowed her to develop her expertise on the West African health sector and interact with several major stakeholders, notably government ministries, agencies, and NGOs. I'm pleased now to hand the floor over to our two speakers, who will share an overview of the Institut Pasteur de Dakar strategy with care, and who will be highlighting several potential avenues for collaboration with members of the Pasteur Network. And I will be back for the Q&A session. So Xavier, the floor is yours. If you can share your screen, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. We can see it. But you're muted, Xavier. Your mic.
Thank you, Hichem. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us for this sharing about care. Today, my colleague, Aisha Njai, and myself, we really would like to take you through a journey for resilience. And the message we would like to share and provide today is about how to use the energy of infectious disease, and especially outbreaks, to create value and opportunities for the society, and especially for the African society where we are rooted at the moment. So just to start with a message that at the Pasteur Institute of Dakar, the legacy of Louis Pasteur is challenged every day. And this is a very funny picture of one of our colleagues, Mr. Galliam Tinto, who wanted to take a snapshot, a selfie of himself with the statue of Louis Pasteur. But unfortunately, the Pasteur was not very well fixed, so he had to show extreme resilience to maintain the legacy of Louis Pasteur. But on a more serious note, what is very inspiring for us is the fact that from the age of Louis Pasteur, everything has changed. the way we publish, the way we make science, the way we attend patients, the way we interact with communities and communicate. But what is very, very conserved and very, very inspiring nowadays is the fact that we still face crises on a very regular basis. And I have taken here the Chinese word, which is also very similar in Korean and Japanese, where the word crisis is made of two parts, danger and opportunity. And we really believe that these crises are a fantastic opportunity to transform society. So what we are aiming to do at CARE is really to turning pain into gain, into purpose, and into power. And during this very short presentation, I will introduce why we created CARE, what are the drivers in terms of economy, demography, geopolitics, etc. And also what is CARE, and then my colleague Aisha Njai will explain you how she made it happen, how she launched the center, how she organized and run the courses, and how is CARE now and where she wants to bring it to the next stage. So just to make a long story short, one of the main drivers for creating CARE was about the absolute incredible demography of Africa. So Africa is right now 1,300,000,000 people, super young continent. So the 54 countries have a median age in the range of 18 years old. And we expect more than 1 billion babies by 2015. So it means that in 2015, 40% of humanity will be African. And for us, this is a fantastic opportunity because at 18, you just start studying and you just start contributing your education, your strength, your working force to the society. So we believe that since the other continents are, let's say, getting older and let's say, growing, we also have to capitalize on this huge asset of young people to create the workforce, create the opportunities, and also create the ecosystem for having highly qualified job and translating this to the society in terms of economy of knowledge. One thing which is very striking at the moment is if you look at the number of people involved into science, technology, engineering activities, we are completely absent. So most of the countries who are leading the race are not in Africa. And for us, this is a really strong point of concern. And we wanted to, at least locally, very on a humble basis, create an initiative that could be a center of excellence for STEM in Africa. Straight in this line also is the fact that when you look at the R&D expenditure by continent and expressed as a percentage of GDP, Africa is super underrepresented. We are at least 2 times behind Europe and almost 3 times behind Asia and North America. So we are really lagging behind. And this lack of investment at country levels is also matched with the scientific productivity in terms of papers, citations, but also patents. So it means that we have a long and difficult road ahead, but also a very exciting one to catch up with this level of competitivity and productivity. And one additional drawback we are suffering is, engineers are a key component translating what the researchers are doing, discovering and understanding into applications and value creation. And more or less, Africa would need 10 million engineers a year. We are producing in the range of 100,000, and most of them are located in the north, in Egypt, Algeria, Tunisia, Morocco, Maghreb, or in the south, in South Africa, and also a bit in Kenya and Tanzania and Nigeria. So we are very, very embarrassed with this deficit of engineers because it is slowing down all the translation of research into value. So CARE is also very much involved into this mission of contributing to the making of engineers in Africa. Another points of hope, this one is, we are very bad at the pharma industry. Most of the pharma industry is in hands of foreign companies, mostly from Asia, Europe, and the US. And we are dominated by generics. So once other companies have filed patents on innovators, and these innovator patents are going publics, then other companies are producing this medicine very cheap, and we are buying them even cheaper. So this is, I would say, a very interesting industry because it is creating a technology transfer, but it's also a very enslaving technology because we are never able to capture the return on innovators. One area where Africa is making a difference, it is on vaccines. So far, when you look at the needs regarding local production, Africa is still very low behind, very far behind. But we are now in the process at many countries level to settle down local manufacturing. So Dakar is one of these mecca under the impulsion of Dr. Amadou Al-Fassad, but other countries are also competing in this race for producing locally vaccines, where the need, when I told you that 1 billion baby will be born by 2015, it means that many billions of doses will be needed for protecting all these babies by vaccination. So this is a huge opportunity for Africa. And CARE is also involved in contributing talent, training, and innovation to these efforts of vaccine making at Africa's level. Just to give you an idea also the way we are aligning the research conducting at the Pasteur Institute and the CARE activities is what we called, or what we used to call, the Swiss cheese model. So it's a piling up layers. The first one is what we call curiosity-driven research. So we are not separating fundamental or applied research. We are just doing research on questions that make sense for us. And when I say questions, they can be very fundamental, like mechanistics about pathogens, or they can be very applied about using or developing some fundamental pieces for surveillance, for response, for hygiene, for public health, etc. So we are really driven by curiosity, and all the knowledge generated by this curiosity-driven model is translated into education via courses that Aisha will describe later on, and training. And training, it means that we are undergoing a very interesting trend where at when I was young and student, I was running through engineer degree, PhD, postdocs, which were, I would say, long-standing training. Now there is a big trend that people are taking pills. Pills are very short courses, between 2 weeks and 2 months, and they pile up pills into their curricula. So everyone ends up being unique, everyone ends up being different, and everyone ends up learning on the flight new knowledge. So it's a kind of new way of learning, and CARE is aligned with this very dynamic, very novel way of learning. We are also very much into innovation and translation. So once we have generated knowledge, shared it with the communities, we are also interested to craft it into a value proposition that is important for the society. And this means filing patents, this means licensing patents, and this means creating companies. And this is the last step of this, I would say, virtuous circle where we do value creation. And currently, to give you one example of discovery we made at the Pasteur is the genomic algebra. This genomic algebra was shared through a course 2 years ago with many countries and people from the Pasteur network. We have filed patent, licensed this patent, and now we are creating a company to exploit this knowledge for surveillance and for improving the life of people living with HIV. So this is typically what we aim to do at the CARE Center. Just to give you a very short description of what is CARE, this is the image on the left is taken from the business plan that was written 4 years ago. And it is about, we were thinking about having 3 floors, one about education, DARA, the Dakar Health and Research Academy, one about merging business intelligence, artificial intelligence, and statistical learning with epidemics, what we call Diagora. And third, we would have something which is a prototyping space for creating prototypes and showing to investors and pitching what the science could become in terms of. So this has been converted into a reality thanks to the contributions of many people, and I would like to thank very officially here the European Union, and that was very instrumental for building the care center, and also the Mastercard Foundation, who was absolutely critical for equipment and supporting many aspects of the running of the center. So basically, the idea comes from Dr. Amadou Sall, who ran Institut Pasteur de Dakar until end of June. He's now working at CEPI. I think he's maybe connected to the talk, and he was the one behind the idea and behind the name. So together, at that time, I was not working at the Pasteur Institute. I had my own company, and we started working on a business plan. And this first document was used by Christophe Perfit, who was at that moment scientific director at IPD, to raise money from Europe, a project called Lab Plus, where 3 million were tagged and earmarked for the making of care. So this took about 2 to 3 years. We had COVID in the middle to make this center a reality. But in 2024, under the impulsion of Aisha, we launched the center and started operating in January 2024. And I think I will stop there and give the floor to my colleague Aisha, so that we can understand and witness how this project was brought into reality. Thank you very much. And Aisha, please proceed.
Thank you, Xavier.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Aisha Njai. I'm currently heading the Center for Africa's Resilience to Epidemics, and I'm going to share a few slides to explain what is our vision for care, what are the different services that we're providing, the different collaborations that we've been doing so far, and what we've managed to do in the first year of inception. I'm just going to share my slide. 1 minute. Are you seeing my screen in full screen?
Yes.
Okay. Just for context, so as Xavier mentioned, care was initially thought by Dr. Amadou Sall and then himself and Dr. Christophe. The idea was looking at the situation in Africa, where we've got a fragmented epidemic response efforts. We've got limited preparedness programs, meaning that when we do have epidemics, we are quite reliant on solutions outside from the continent, which obviously affects the timeliness of our response, affects also the efficiency. So it highlighted the fragmented situation that we have and the absence of a structured ecosystem. But this could mean many things. This could mean from equipments. It could also mean from human resources. But the main bit that they were trying to solve was the aspect of capacity, which means the absence of certain skill set, where we still rely on people outside from the continent. So care was then established to address this challenge that they highlighted in epidemic preparedness and response, with the idea to focus on 3 strategic pillars, one, and all of it through under capacity development, but through education, through disease intelligence, and through innovation. So to build a regional hub for knowledge exchange that can empower communities and organizations across Africa to help Africa build its resilience against epidemics. The way that this was thought to happen was through a combination of having a state-of-the-art research facility, having tailored education programs that's fitted for the context in Africa, and having a dynamic innovation hub, but also dedicating this hub to the present and the next generation of health leaders, leveraging the IPD's data-driven insights so that we can anticipate and respond to health threats. So in summary, CARE hopes to bridge Africa's health needs with global innovations in public health. CARE was launched last year, as Xavier mentioned, in 2024. So launch meaning it was officially launched. Prior to this, it was being thought of, it was being built, it was being tested in various capacities, but fully operational from last year. And it has been emerging as a dynamic hub that, as mentioned, it's dedicated to preparedness and response to epidemics. We've tried to introduce trainings and programs that are not just theoretical, but we have a large emphasis on practical sessions. And so far, we've been experiencing a growing brand presence, which was one of the things that prior to joining CARE, we were yet to position CARE as a brand itself. We're hoping that through our programs, so we've had several programs, which I will highlight later on, that has equipped rising talents, equipping also leaders in communities with the knowledge, with the network, meeting different people from across the continent to tackle these health crises effectively. So since launching CARE, the IPD has built an infrastructure that supports these health programs and cutting-edge science. CARE has managed to deliver impactful and creative training programs that were not easily accessible prior to this. And it's also fostering innovation through incubation like mentorship in partnership with the Grand Challenges Senegal initiative of the IPD and its partners. For this year, we are aiming to expand this education and innovation programs through expanding our innovative signature trainings, which we will do normally in person, but also trying to expand it to hybrid and online. We're also focusing on increasing our transcontinental partnerships and also strengthening our internal systems as we continue to build CARE, because technically it's a startup. So our ambition for CARE is to position it as a global center of excellence for epidemic preparedness, hands-on innovation and leadership training, the focus being to empower rising talents and leaders and innovators in science and global health to ensure that in Africa we have the opportunities for these talents, that they don't have to seek it outside of Africa, that we can connect them to the experts who are within Africa, who are outside of Africa, and that they will come to Senegal to CARE to provide these knowledge and these skill sets to our workforce here. How we work at CARE, we have a range of services, but we have them in two routes. One is through the rental of our spaces. And this is renting our spaces to our partners outside of IPD, to IPD itself, the projects within IPD that are focused on health, that are focused on epidemic resilience. And when we say epidemic resilience, these topics can range from data management, it can range to things more specific in vaccinology, things more specific in data science, things to do with biomanufacturing, anything that strengthens our output when it comes to responding to diseases. So these projects might want to rent a space, they might want to rent a classroom or amphitheater, and they will manage independently all the aspects of their program, including the coordination, the curriculum development, the logistics. We do not provide any additional support apart from providing the venue. The second aspect that the second type of service that we provide is the concierge service. So what this does is we provide something like an a la carte menu where you get to select if you want to partner with CARE to offer a fully customizable end-to-end service. And what this means is we provide support from the design of the curriculum, the design of the course, the selection of the participants. So doing the call for application for the trainees, selecting the trainers, leveraging our network of IPD and Pasteur network and beyond, selecting the venues within CARE and outside of CARE, the hospitality, the accommodation, organizing the participant travel, visa support, flights, and the extra immersion experiences that we do for the participants. So this then means that the partner can leverage on CARE's position within the IPD and within Africa to ensure that what we are providing the participants is an experience that is tailored to their needs, and to make sure that they do not just come in for a training experience, but it's something that the networking aspect is also important, where they would have a memorable and meaningful experience. And how we do this course concierge, this is just a general overview of the events flow. So typically we would have an initial contact with the partner, which could, again, like I said, could be IPD and beyond. And just to put a note out here, so CARE is it is positioned in IPD because it is a product of IPD. However, CARE is not just for IPD. CARE is equally for partners within the Pasteur network, partners outside of the Pasteur network. It is there for Africa. So typically, we would do our courses in any of the official languages, from English, French, and for Lusophone countries. The majority of it, it's for participants out. It has been for participants outside of Senegal. So we try to give inclusivity with gender, but also with nationality. So typically how we start is we would have for the course concierge service, we would understand the client's goals and requirements, decide on the venue that we would want to do the courses, also decide on the objectives of the course, identify who the best target audience would be, what the best outcomes would be. And then together with the teams supporting CARE, we would design the specific curriculum, and then also start to design the logistical aspect. And begin that coordination. Then we would also tailor these services to what the client needs, develop the itinerary, and then we begin to deliver the training and the educational aspect, which could range from short courses for 1 to 2 weeks. It could also include fellowships. Also recently, we're including what we call a young professionals program from a new partnership that we have with the Siri and the Stellenbosch University, that's funded by the MasterCard Foundation for the next 3 years. And through this, we have the fellowships, we have the Young Professionals Program. We also have a track that we call the Advanced Translational Track, ATT. And we also provide masterclasses, practical trainings, professorships, which we are yet to launch in certain disciplines, such as health diplomacy, also mathematical modeling for infectious diseases, genomic algebra. And then we move on to once the training is happening, the teams at CARE provide on-site support, so troubleshooting in real time, IT technical support, the coordinated meals, the emergency help that's needed, making sure that there's also networking opportunities for these participants, team building opportunities also. And then we have the event closing, where as usual, we do a closing ceremony, provide the certificates, and we then follow up. So what we hope to do is, we don't want to end these things in just the classrooms. We also want the participants to take it beyond the classrooms, to continue this network of alumni where they can work together still, they can keep in communication, and at the same time, develop other projects from this, develop other innovations from this, but making sure that we keep this alumni network together and following up with them. An overview of the spaces at CARE. So we have a wet laboratory that has a capacity for 25 people seated and working. We have an amphitheater, which has a capacity for over 110 people, and a MOOC studio. We have seminar rooms and classrooms on our mezzanine floor. We have an innovation lab, which we are, at the moment, it's a space that we use as a classroom, but the idea is by the end of this year, we want to fully equip it to kind of be like a space that fosters entrepreneurship, prototype testing, again, to do with health and science. So supporting the scientist and the health-related innovations and ideas that we have in Africa, to move beyond the idea, move beyond ideation, to support them with business models, because these are typically not things that people or scientists are very aware of. We're typically more focused on the scientific aspects, but how to move these ideas into launchable health ventures, how to move these ideas into things that can be commercial and also sustainable. So this is where we aim to focus in the Innovation Lab by providing more support through mentorship, through business model trainings, through networking with the right type of partners, investors, and just testing out the ideas. We also have a situation room, and we also have areas for break and for eating, like the kitchen area and the different terraces across the building of care. For each of our classrooms, so these are just some little images of the labs to see that they're usually equipped with teaching screens, biosafety cabinets, the specific equipments that you might need for the training. We also have the amphitheater that's equipped with high resolution interactive screens, microphone services, translation services, and the little gadgets that you normally would have in the control room. It also provides the capacity to do hybrid trainings. We also have our seminar and classrooms. We have 5 well-equipped classrooms. 3 of them support intelligent teaching tools, and 1 of them the capacity to support augmented and virtual reality with high tactile smart boards and video conference capacities. We also have a situation room on our top floor equipped with the same sort of large screens, and effective communication and decision-making tools that support this in those scenarios. In the first year of care, what we've managed to achieve in the first couple of months was to host regular meetings and trainings of IPD units, the partners, and like I said, beyond our Pasteur network, almost all frequently. We were able to start to recruit a dedicated manager for the center, program support, digital marketing, communication experts that all supported in implementing these programs and enhancing the operations, the outreach, and the engagement. We've managed to also install a more seamless reservation system compared to what was being used prior to this setup, with plans to migrate to a more efficient solution. And in its first 8 months, we have received over 250 reservation requests. We've also managed to develop comprehensive course designs and training plans and successfully establish infrastructure management systems to support the program deliveries. We've managed to also build a brand identity of care and a robust digital presence, including high definition outputs, recap videos, podcast series, things that allow knowledge exchange, and social media channels. We've also sensitized our auxiliary staff on care's role and its vision, which was important for us, for people to understand that we are aiming for care to not just be a rental center. That would be our nightmare if care is just a rental center. But also to ensure that their contributions align with the organization's high standards and values. In terms of educational achievements in the first year, we've managed to train over 100 students per month from over 150 programs, as I mentioned, that range from biosecurity to vaccine manufacturing, public health SOPs, GMP-like standards, single-cell genomics, bioinformatics, malaria, sequencing, genomic medicine, amongst many other things. We also introduced flagship programs that were in collaboration with partners such as the African Women Leaders in Biosecurity, which had about, I believe, about 20-something participants from different places from Africa, in collaboration with the EU Commission. And we also had the Medieval Workforce Development Program's first introduction to vaccine manufacturing for high-level regulatory experts, where they were introduced to how vaccine manufacturing, what the process is, introduced to the vaccinopole also in Jamnyaju, so leveraging our infrastructures within the IPD. So we also successfully hosted and facilitated meetings for the different partners from Africa CDC, WHO, LuxLev, Wanitam, University of Oxford. For us, our impact is amplified by the partners that we collaborate with. I mentioned a few of them just previously, but each partnership reflects our commitment to strengthen epidemic preparedness across Africa. CARE is at the forefront of collaborative funding with top institutes across the continent. Recently, you might have come across the African Stars Fellowship, which is our most recent collaboration with Siri and Stellenbosch University that I mentioned, which is an initiative just like all the other collaborations that we do, to provide opportunities of learning and networking with leading experts from around the world. We do the same for malaria that we've recently concluded with our department at IPD, led by Dr. Ines and Dr. Madarnyang, with the Strathmore University and high-level government officials on malaria. At the same time, we have an upcoming course, which for the first time in Senegal, we're going to host the Vaccinology in Africa course for 2025, which has been an annual program of the Wellcome Camry at the Wellcome Trust, University of Oxford Jenner Institute, for the past, I think, over 10 years, but it will be the first bilingual course and first course that's being held in Senegal. So all these things, it's again providing opportunities not just to Africa, but also to usually the often neglected zones of Africa, which is the Francophone Africa or the Lusophone Africa, and to make sure that the participants have access again to these experts from around the world. Another bit of also one of the main things that we did in building CARE, so not just making sure that we have the operational tools in place, making sure that we have the human resources in place and the strategic collaborations, but also making sure that we were able to build the brand of CARE with the objective of enhancing the visibility of CARE, to make sure that CARE stood as a brand for people to understand that CARE is under the identity of IPD because it's an initiative of IPD, as is Diatropics, as is Vaccine, as is the Vaccinopol, but to ensure that we highlight our distinct mission and to also promote the innovative initiatives that are happening at CARE. So we launched our social media presence with the focus being on discussions that highlight epidemic preparedness, leadership, and innovation research, to spark a dialogue, to build an audience, to recap the impactful moments, so to make sure that we go beyond the classroom when it comes to knowledge exchange. We hope to be not just a knowledge transmission tool within the classrooms, but also for people who are not yet able to come to CARE for these classes, but also to have the possibility to learn more from these innovators or these leading experts that come through CARE. So we do that through the recap videos, through the podcast, through also certain other engagement tools, the blogs and the white papers. So this is CARE in a nutshell. This is what we do at CARE, how we collaborate with different partners, where we want CARE to get to, and what we managed to achieve in 2024. Thank you.